How's it going, everybody? Mr. Quick here. We're going to be looking today at Eureka Math / Engage New York Math, Module 4, Lesson 31, Problems in Mathematical Terms. We're going to look specifically about when we make a chart. And let's say we have a 1 over here, and then a 3. And then over here we have a 2, and then a 6. And over here we have a 3, and then a 9. And you start to see the pattern being that it's times 3 each time, right? Well, we're going to talk about, when we talk about real-world examples, we're going to talk about what an independent variable is and what a dependent variable is. And typically you're going to see the independent variable go in the left column, and then the dependent variable go in the right column. And the big definition here would be that independent variable, I'll put IND, changes, and when it does change, it can affect the dependent variable. So, for example, the independent variable could be any number, and whatever that number is, your dependent variable depends on it, right? Dependent depends on it, and that determines what number this is. I know that sounds a little out there, but let's look at a real example here. Now, I've actually left the answer in here because I just want you to be able to see it, and then we're going to figure out the independent and dependent variable in this question. Marcus reads for 30 minutes each night. He wants to determine the total number of minutes he will read over the course of a month. He wrote the equation T equals 30D to represent the total number of time that he has spent reading, where T is the total number of minutes read, and D represents the number of days that he read during the month. Determine which variable is independent and which is dependent. Then create a table to show how many minutes he has read in the first 7 days. Well, we have the table here. So on day 1, he read 30 minutes. On day 2, he read 60 minutes. And so you can go all the way down the line through 7. You could go farther. And the number of days, or D, in this case would be the independent variable. And the reason that is because you can put any number in here. You could say he reads for 36 days. You could say he reads for 50 days. You could say he reads for 8 days. You can change that number. That is the thing that can change, the independent variable. The dependent variable depends on what is in this column. So the dependent variable depends on how many days there are. So this would be total minutes read. So once again, if you look at the kind of the rule we talked about a minute ago, we have independent on the right, dependent on the left, because whatever we put here will change whatever we put here. Whatever the independent variable is will change what the dependent variable answer is. Does that make sense? Let's look at another one. Okay. Kira designs websites. She can create 3 different websites each week. Kira wants to create an equation that will give her the total number of websites she can design given the number of weeks she works. Determine the independent and dependent variables. Create a table to show the number of websites she can design over the first 5 weeks. Finally, write an equation to represent the number of websites she can design when given any number of weeks. So, again, the thing that we can change, we can decide how many number of weeks we want to figure out, and so that makes that the independent variable, number of weeks, right? Because we could say, well, how many websites could she design in 8 weeks, in 10 weeks, in 1,000 weeks? We can change that. That's the number that we can change. So that is the independent variable. The dependent variable then would be the websites that she designed. How many, right? Because whatever we put in this independent column is going to change our answer in the dependent variable column. So, for example, erase this so we have a little bit more to see here. When we say she worked 1 week, that means she designed 3 websites. When she worked for 3 weeks, that's 9 websites. Whatever number we put over here gives us our answer in the dependent variable column. And so then our equation, if you want to look, would be D equals 3W. So the number of websites designed would be the same as 3 times however many weeks she worked, right? Because we have 1 times 3, 2 times 3, on down the line to get these answers. So the number of websites she designed is equal to however many weeks she worked times 3. Okay. Let's look at another example. We'll do one more here. Priya streams movies through a company that charges her a $5 monthly fee plus $1.50 per movie. Determine the independent and dependent variables, write an equation to model the situation, and create a table to show the cost per month given that she might stream between 4 and 10 movies in a month. Well, again, the independent variable, I gave us the chart here to make the chart. It may not be quite as easy, but the independent variable is going to be the number of movies. The reason it's independent is because we could decide any number of movies. We could figure out the answer based on any number of movies we were curious about. She might watch 5 movies one month. She might watch 8 movies one month. She might watch 10 movies one month, right? We don't know. So that is constantly changing. The dependent variable then would be the cost, because the cost depends on how many movies did you watch. It's not one cost every month. The cost changes based on how many movies that she watched. So it is dependent on the independent variable. So the equation here would be, if it's $1.50 per movie, that would be $1.50 times M, right? We'll say M for movie. So if you watched 5 movies, it'd be $1.50 times 5. If she watched 10 movies, it'd be $1.50 times 10. So that is what is always changing, plus $5 because she has a $5 monthly fee. So our equation would be $1.50 times the number of movies plus 5 because she pays a $5 fee no matter what. The $5 fee doesn't matter how many movies she watches. Okay, so we'll talk more about this in class. Hopefully you see that, again, the independent variable is what changes. The dependent variable is what is dependent on that. So the answer changes based on what our number is in our independent variable column. All right, thanks for watching. We'll talk more about this in class. See you soon.